My name is Dr. Peter D'Antonio. I'm celebrating my 40th anniversary in this field after developing and founding RPG diffuser systems back in the early 80s. And at this point, I have formed a new company about 7 years ago with John Storick and PK Pandy. And what we're focusing on is developing an artificial intelligence search engine that optimizes the design of a control room. Now, there are many mixing environments that people use, but many of them are not controlled mixing environments, meaning they are not neutral spaces. So that if you make a mix in a particular room, when you play that mix outside of that room, that mix is going to contain the acoustical signature of the room. And what we want to have is a neutral control room. So here we see, this is the package that we have developed. It's an AI-powered acoustic optimization tool called Nero, non-optimal iterative room optimizer. Here what we're doing is we're optimizing 4 variables. We have identified these metrics so that if these metrics are optimized, you have a neutral control room. And what we do is, first, we vary the geometry of the room and the position of the loudspeakers and the listener simultaneously. We're striving for a flat frequency response and as small of a spatial deviation as we can get, and a reflection-free zone that has no interfering reflections from these side walls and ceiling to provide comb filtering. Once we do that, we have essentially done as much as we can, and so we then optimize the low frequency response that you see here. This is just a low frequency response. You see the modes, and here you see the spatial deviation. And so we're optimizing. This is for a keyboard room now. This is something that a project studio might have, where we can't really change the geometry of the room, only the length, the width, and the height. And so if you have a bedroom, we can optimize the location only of the speakers and the listening positions because the geometry is fixed. And once we do that, then we can apply acoustical materials in whatever location is possible in your room. And using the AI search engine, we find the optimal acoustical treatment for each of those locations that optimizes the frequency response, the spatial deviation, the temporal decay. We want all of those modes to decay at the same time, and we want the reverberation within standards. Here we're showing the pressure distribution in the same room with just the mains, just the subs, and then with the mains and the subs with some additional subs. Because when the geometry is fixed, sometimes we need to add additional subs to control the low frequencies. So you can see the variation in pressures as the frequency changes in the low frequencies here. When you optimize the subs and the mains, you get the flattest pressure response. So the first part of this ROX package, we have a room optimizer for cuboid spaces. This is our latest product for essentially for this market, project studios. And first thing we have is know your room. So given the location and the treatment in the existing space, we can tell you how your room is performing. Once we do that, we then go through the process of applying acoustical materials. And we can apply hundreds of different acoustical materials. And each acoustical material that we apply has a different acoustical spectrum. And this is just an example of how the different acoustical treatments provide absorption over different frequency ranges and how that affects the frequency response, spatial deviation, temporal decay, and reverberation time of your room. And once we do that, we can provide 3 packages. A basic package which optimizes essentially the reflections from the side walls, the rear wall, the ceiling, and the front wall with an optimal position for the speakers and the listener. The next step would be to add low frequency bass absorption in the corners, and lastly, we have just additional treatment in the front, along the side walls and ceiling. We have a free package online, a free software that allows you to design your own software. You can design resonators, perforated resonators, slot resonators, porous absorption, and for each of those different designs, you see the absorption spectrum here. So you can actually, once you know what the problems in your room are, you can design a treatment to deal with those problems. And what these packages do is to help you to locate where to put that treatment and what that treatment is. And that would be the end of this presentation. And the product is called REDIacoustics, Room Optimizer for Cuboid Spaces. Thank you.